Hello students, this is going to be your notes for today where you need to choose what method is best depending on the problem. So looking at our first method, which is graphing. So what are some characteristics of the equations that would make us want to graph it? Well, some characteristics are one, if you're given a graph, that's kind of a hint to graph your system. If your systems are written in slope-intercept form, therefore it will be easy to graph, and then also as well as fractions. So those are the three characteristics. Now the characteristics for substitution one, so there's two ways we can use substitution. In this case, both equations need to be in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. There is no graph given, so even though they're in slope-intercept form, if there's no graph, we cannot graph these, and then also no fractions. Next one, we have a second status substitution. This type of substitution problem would be if we have one equation in slope-intercept form, which we do, we have the y equals negative 3x minus 4, and the other one is not in slope-intercept form, because if you notice, there is a 2 in front of the y. We would also want to use substitution when we do not see fractions and without a graph. Last method is elimination. So if we want to use elimination, we need to make sure both equations are in standard form, which looking on the right, they are in standard form because the x and the y are on the same side of the equal sign. Also, we want to look for no fractions, and also no graph would then make us want to use elimination. Okay, so going back, what I want you to do is I want you to solve these problems. So we have the first one. What I want you to do is I want you to plot -3 on your graph. So go down 1, 2, 3 on the y-axis, and then our slope is -3/2. So that means we need to go down 3 and then over 2, 1, 2. Plot your point. Again, down 3 over 2. Okay, we can also go up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 2, up 1, 2, 3, over 2. So again, you want to connect that line for that graph. Then we have our second graph, plot your y-intercept at +4. So +4 on the y. And I need to go up 1 over 4. And then I can also go down 1 over 4. Here's where they intersect. So looking at that point where they intersect, that point is at -4, +3. So we're going to write -4, 3 would be our solution. Okay, second one, substitution. So we know for substitution, they have to be in slope-intercept form, which they are, and then we need to set them equal to each other. So here we have 4x minus 2 is equal to -x plus 3. So we can add an x to each side to get rid of that -x. So this is going to turn into 5x minus 2 is equal to 3. I can move over the 2 by adding 2 to the other side. 5x is equal to 5. Divide by 5. X is then going to give me 1. Next, I can plug it back into one of my equations. I'm going to plug it in the second one. Y equals -x plus 3. Well, y equals -x would be -1 plus 3. Y is equal to 2. So, therefore, I can write my solution as 1, comma 2. Okay, next method we have is the second substitution. So now this one, we know what y equals. Y equals negative 3x minus 4. So we can literally plug in negative 3x minus 4 for y. So I have a 2 in front of my y, so I need to do 2 times y. Well, my y is going to be negative 3x minus 4, and then equals x plus 6. Okay, so that's one method. What we worked on is we actually would have divided, which we still can do. We can divide the first equation by 2. So we get y is equal to 1/2 x plus 3. So then we can set that equal to negative 3x minus 4. So we can stick with the same method we have always been doing. Okay, next we can add a 3x to each side. Right, so we can add a 3x to 1/2. So we need to figure out what is 3 plus 1/2. Well, we can rewrite 3 over 1 by multiplying it by 2. So we can rewrite 3 over 1 as 6 over 2 plus 1/2, which would be 7/2. So if I add 3x to 1/2, I get 7/2 x plus 3 equals negative 4. Then I would subtract a 3 from each side, so I have 7/2 x. If I subtract 3 from 4, I get negative 7. Next, I have to multiply by the reciprocal. So really, I need to take my negative 7 on the right side of my equation. I'm going to write it as a fraction. And I need to multiply it by the reciprocal of 7 over 2, which is 2 over 7. Multiply across, negative 7 times 2 is negative 14 over 7, which equals negative 2. So x is equal to negative 2. And then you are going to plug negative 2 back into one of your original equations. So I'm going to plug in negative 2. Let's plug it into the first one. So 2y is equal to x plus 6. So 2y is equal to x is negative 2 plus 6. So 2y is equal, well, negative 2 plus 6 is 4. Divide each side by 2, so y equals 2. So then my solution would be negative 2, comma 2. Okay, next one is elimination. So really I just have to add my two equations together because they're both in standard form. Now, before I can add, I need to make sure I have opposites. I do not have opposites. I want to try to cancel out the 5x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the first equation all by negative 1. So 5x times negative 1 is negative 5x. Negative 1 times negative y is positive y. And 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. I'm going to keep my second equation the same. So right here, my x's cancel. Negative 5x and 5x, if I add it together, is 0. 1y and 2y is 3y. Equals, then I have to add, that is a negative 8 plus 14, which would give me positive 6. Divide by 3, y equals 2. Now plug 2 back into one of your equations. So I'm going to use my first equation, which was 5x minus y is equal to 8. So I have 5x minus my y is 2 is equal to 8. Now I need to add 2 to both sides. So I really get 5x is equal to 10. Divide by 5x is equal to 2. So here my final solution would be 2 comma 2. So what you're going to do next is you are going to do the practice worksheet that is front and back. You need to decide what is the best method to use. Are you going to use graphing? Are you going to use substitution or are you going to use elimination? If you decide to use graphing, if you flip over to the back of your sheet, there are 3 graphs at the very bottom of your note sheet that you can use if you decide the best method would be to graph. So please use the characteristics on the sheet to help you decide if you're going to graph, use substitution, or elimination. If you are unsure of what method to use, you can check the answer key on Canvas.